Secret Invasion really didn't land the way Disney and Marvel were anticipating. I think in their minds, they spent $200 million plus on this show to try to bring people back by having Nick Fury star in his own thing right now. Because since the events of Endgame, there's been a lot of audience drop off because after that they've been just kind of trying new things out and bringing in new characters and stuff like that, and it really hasn't landed. So I think they were trying to be like, okay, let's just make a more grounded story and starring a legacy character that people like, and this will help attract the audience back or bring in new people. And it really just didn't work in that sense. If you actually look at the Rotten Tomatoes score for the season, it was just abysmally low. I mean, this is one of the worst reviewed, well, actually, no, this is the worst reviewed MCU property they have, especially if you look at the last episode. I mean, people just hated this last episode of the show. And if anything, this is actually damaging to the brand right now because you get a character like Nick Fury that everyone actually liked, and you put him in his own show, and this is how it does. It just goes to show that not only do people not care about it, but the diehard Marvel stans who pretty much watch everything Marvel related didn't even care about this show, which is really saying something. And now there's something to be even more worried about with the show is you have Echo coming out in a couple months, and this doesn't even have the luxury of being a legacy character that people actually like. I mean, people could say like, oh, well, she was a legacy character because she was in Hawkeye. It's like, yeah, but Hawkeye was also a pretty low viewed show, and she's a side character from that, so there's really not much expectation for her. I mean, in fact, I mean, you can almost just see this as a new character. And so far in the MCU, the new characters that they're trying to bring in through Disney Plus shows aren't working. They're trying to market this thing on like, well, this kind of sets up Daredevil and Kingpin and stuff like that because of her connections with that, and that's fine, but I don't think that that's actually going to help bring people into that. I mean, what would really help set those up is just have a Daredevil show. I mean, like they did with the Netflix one. Of course, they're going to be bringing back the new Daredevil, and like I say, it's the new Daredevil. Yeah, I mean, it's still Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin and Charlie Cox as Daredevil, but for all intents and purposes, it's a completely different show right now. I mean, and you have a lot of people actually taking notice of that. I mean, this remark from Vincent D'Onofrio about it, I actually do think is a good remark, because a lot of people were upset because they're removing Karen Page, or they're recasting Karen Page, or removing Foggy Nelson. So there's just not that same dynamic with this. But this is what Vincent D'Onofrio said. It's really deep, really emotional, and by the second season, there are gigantic payoffs. But the fans are gonna really get what they want. So I think that's fair. I mean, instead of just attacking the fans outright, just saying like, look, just give it a chance. You'll like the show. And Disney and Marvel appear to actually think that there's going to be something to it, because they greenlit it for 18 episodes. They say they split into 2 parts, which, okay, that's one way of doing it. But because I don't like it when they're splitting up seasons. I do like it when they're releasing them weekly, but I guess they're trying to make this last a little bit longer, which means that they actually have some faith in it. When you compare that to Echo, though, they're literally just dumping it all onto the platform in one day. They say it's like, oh, it's so we get good word of mouth and at once. And I don't think that's what's going to happen, because with a character like that, the only way that show will succeed is good word of mouth on it. And because there is nothing much going for it, there's no wind in the sails. No one really even cares about the character. So if it was a good show and people were talking about it, then maybe you'll get viewership, but it doesn't really seem to happen when you dump it all at once. It's really just a flash in the pan, and then people forget about it. And I think that's kind of what they're expecting. In fact, there was some insiders who came out earlier this month who said it was actually such a bad show that they're keep re-editing it, and the only reason that they're actually releasing it is because of the strikes going on, that they have nothing else to put out. So they're like, well, we still have this. It's not good, but we already shot it, and we've been kind of re-editing it and playing around with it to try to make it work. And I think what we're going to get is just literally a project that they were like, whatever, just dump it on the platform and just forget about it and move on. And I think this is actually, I mean, at least they're not giving it a theatrical run. If it was a movie, if it was like some movies, I've said like just put it on their Disney Plus platform, because they lose less money that way. So they're going to lose less money putting it on Disney Plus, but at the same time, it could be more damaging to the brand. And if it's supposed to set up Daredevil and Kingpin, something that they're actually trying to push out later on, this could actually potentially hurt that if Daredevil's appearance and She-Hulk wasn't bad enough. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And if you like this video, click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.